when I look at Shaun Nua, there is a very, I'm not going to say they're fighting for Shaun Nua, because ultimately Shaun's going to make a decision. But I still maintain that Jay Hill's not leaving the head coaching position at Weber, where he's had enormous success, to be a coordinator at BYU.
Are we clear on that?
Let's say he does. Let's say Jay Hill leaves BYU or leaves Weber for BYU. So you're going to be a head coach with national championship level aspirations at Weber. Okay, let's go be a defensive coordinator. Let's go be an assistant head coach, special teams coordinator. Whatever you want to slot Jay Hill into.
Yeah.
Are you telling me he's going to be there for 10 years? Are you telling me that Jay Hill is going to BYU to be there for 5 years? Wouldn't Jay Hill be going there for I would guess, a stepping stone to a D1 head coaching job? Well, why does that make sense? Why does that make sense? And if he takes that job, I'll ask him, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to leave Weber. And maybe we don't know. Maybe Jay has been looking to step up into a Wisconsin, a Nebraska.
Yeah.
Maybe he's been looking for a bigger job and he just can't get a sniff. So maybe he's going to leave Weber and he's going to go to BYU and maybe get that boomerang effect.
I'm going to do that.
Any way you slice the Jay Hill pie, it doesn't make a lot of sense for Kalani Sitake to hire somebody that would be a senior assistant. There's just no other way to slice the pie. He's not coming in to be a quality control coach.
Yeah, next question.
He'd be your assistant head coach, your defensive coordinator. He's coming in for a big slice of the assistant coaching pie.
Yeah.
On a short-term basis. That doesn't make a lot of sense. The last thing this staff needs, hire some guys who are here for a year and then go hire some more. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So that's never fit well with me.
Yeah.
The Shaun Nua thing makes a lot of sense, especially with Kelly coming down from Boise, which is where I've confirmed that 20 different ways to Sunday, right? So it makes a lot of sense that Kelly will coach linebackers, because I'm telling you, he is one of the best linebacker coaches in the country.
And they need it.
Kelly Papinga is an elite coach of linebackers.
I'm a man.
That dude, there are just some guys who are positionally. I say this about Guy Holiday and wide receivers. I like Fesi Sitake, I think does a great job. Kelly Papinga should coach linebackers every single day of his football coaching life. And if he does that as a defensive coordinator, okay, great. He's not ready to be a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
You want to make Kelly Papinga your assistant head coach and linebacker coach? Okay, I'm good with that. Shaun Nua should be your defensive coordinator. But I think USC is doing everything they could do to keep him.
As they should.
He is not recruiting for USC right now, which tells you there's some things up in the air. He's not making calls. He's not going and visiting people, which right now is a critical recruiting time. So is he leaving or is he not? And the other thing that I think is really critical about BYU right now is you got to make a decision here, and you got to get this done right now. You have got to get this done right now, because you're in a critical recruiting window.
Yeah.
The transfer portal is absolutely on fire, and you need a lot of help on the defensive side of the football. You need somebody like Shaun Nua, who is arguably the best recruiter, one of the best recruiters in the Pac-12.
Yes.
Let's not get carried away. He's one of the best recruiters in the Pac-12. You need that guy to be on the phone, going and doing home visits. The minute Shaun Nua walks onto campus at East High School, he's a threat. On any high school in Utah or Salt Lake or you name it.
Yep.
You got to do that now. This posturing or delaying or waiting that is seemingly happening at BYU, why are you not able to hire these guys right now? Because the longer and the longer and the longer this drags on, the bigger and the bigger and the bigger the problem becomes.
I'm going to say this again.
Time is not exponential. Oh, by the way, you also have a bowl game to prepare for.
Time is not your friend.
So are we preparing for, the New Mexico Bowl with grad assistants? Because I can only imagine that's, as I've been told, that's what's going on. You gotta get going here. There needs to be a sense of urgency, and I'm not saying there's not. I'm not saying that Kalani's doing a bad job. None of that. There needs to be a sense of urgency to get this staff put together. Because I don't care if you win or lose the bowl game, but please don't go there and look unprepared. One,
Yeah.
Two, you need to be on the road recruiting. You need to be on the road recruiting.
I mean, it's just all these things play together. Like, time is not your friend. Like, you. This is life as a head coach of a D1 program. Like, you're preparing for bowl games. You're out on the road for recruiting trips. You're coaching guys. Like, you do all these different things. So when you're trying to hire a defensive coordinator and you're competing with USC for that talent, you need to get it done one way or the other. Like, it just needs to be decided so then you can go and kind of take your direction of whoever that's going to be, Shaun Nua or whoever. Like, they just need to get it done, and Kalani knows that. But again, it's this. And again, I'm not looking to criticize Kalani, but I think just by nature, like that killer thing we always talk about, like that willingness to just decimate people, it plays into this a little bit. Like having that killer mentality, like being able to say to Shaun Nua, like, hey man, there's a window in time here. This is what I can offer you. I'd love to have you in the program. We'd love to make you our DC. Do you want the job or not? You have a day to decide. Like,
got to move on.
That's how it should be.
We got business to do.
That's how it should be. That's how it has to be. You can't, because a lot of the time I feel like Kalani is the guy, whether we're talking about assigning responsibilities to the coaching staff or going out and getting guys. And again, it's just speculation, this is my opinion. I feel like sometimes, though, Kalani's the guy who's like, all right, Shaun, we'd really love to have you as our DC. I'll call you on Monday, and today's Tuesday. I'll call you on Monday, and you can let me know what your decision is. No, it should be, hey, dude, like, we want you to be the DC. This is how much money I have to offer you. By the way, that money's going to go a hell of a lot further here than it will in California. You have a day to make the decision, or else we need to move on. Like, that's how it should be.
Well, and they have a really good relationship. It's not like Kalani and Shaun don't know each other. It's not like they don't have history.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and to his credit, I think Kalani's trying to surround himself with the best talent that he has relationships with. If you just bring in Kelly Papinga and Shaun Nua, I mean, you have the foundation for a really good staff. I think that you have to figure out, I don't think you can split special teams anymore. And I know we've talked about a lot of different things with BYU, but what you cannot do is have Jimmy, who mixed the Gatorade last year. Now he's the special teams coach. You can't do that anymore. You can't have Ed Lamb be the assistant head coach who sharpens pencils. And by the way, if you have a minute, can you go work with the kicker?
Come on, man.
Because that's what it feels like. It feels like special teams is not a priority at BYU.
It's an afterthought.
And it can no longer be that. If the model in this state is Utah, and I think it is, there's almost no doubt about that. Utah always has, with some exceptions, they always have a kicking game. They always have a punting game. They always cover kicks well.
Yeah.
With some exceptions. And this year there's been some inconsistency. But you just have never, in my mind, in Kalani's time here at BYU, you've never been elite at all phases of football. Offense, defense, special teams. All three phases. You've never been elite at all three phases. And yes, a lot of times defense is sagged. Well, you're going to address that this offseason. But please don't just leave special teams twisting in the wind, because you've got to, at some point at BYU, value every single yard. And I mean every single yard and every inch of every yard.
Yeah.
You have to value. You have to value the ability to flip the field. You have to value the ability to flipping stomp on somebody's face and win a game 72-10 because you can. And why
Drop that mother.
why do you win a game 72-10? Because you can. And as so many people have pointed out, Kalani's a nice guy. But it's time to stop being nice. And it's time to start winning very big football games.
If you can, you should.
Yeah, absolutely, Thomas Shelby. And why do we? Because we can. And if we can, we do.
Yeah.
But they don't at BYU. And I think that's why I put so much emphasis on this defensive side of the football and all the changes, and why I've put so much time into trying to understand what the process is and what they're doing at BYU.
Yeah.
Because at some point, you have to have an open, honest conversation about the fact that Kalani's not doing the job well enough. That's the unvarnished truth.
Yep.
Kalani's not doing the job well enough, right now. And until that changes,
Yeah, he knows that. Yeah.
you're just going to be who you've been. Back to Bronco.
Well, and I think the problem is now because you're going into the Big 12, you don't have the luxury of just chilling in Independence. Like it's not going to be good enough just to be a bowl eligible team. Like you're in a conference now. You're the bar, I would imagine, naturally goes right to winning the Big 12. Because if that's not the bar, then what is the bar?
Yeah. All right, let's get your comments in here. I don't know what's going on with Salty Drunk and Skeet this morning. You guys seem to be going back and forth here. And Skeet, I guess you're upset with me about something, but that's pretty much who you are. Skeet says he categorically disagrees with me on everything. Okay, cool. Cool, man.
Okay, what did we disagree with you on today?
I have no idea. I don't know. There's a lot of comments today, so I'm not really that interested in going back. Let's see. Dale Donut says, love your show, but I am really just here to get Tanner's take and you guys to rage on him. Just kidding. Thanks for the content, boys.
Well done, sir.
I appreciate
well done.
you, Dale.
I appreciate that, dude.
We were at Harmon's last night.
Yeah.
So, One Wing Mrs. Monty and I are at Harmon's.
Right.
And maybe it was 2 nights ago. I don't remember. Anyway, they had just put out all the fresh donuts.
Oh, damn.
And I'm like, come on, we got to go. Because, the apple fritters, you could, we were 5 feet away.
Yeah.
So Mrs. Monty is a soup person. She really likes soup. So we got some sliced sourdough bread at Harmon's.
Oh, yes.
And you pick out the roll, they slice it for you and put it in a bag. And it was amazing. And we had gotten chicken noodle soup at Costco because, she broke her arm. It's comfort food. But you have to walk by the donuts after you get the bread.
Mm-hmm.
And the apple fritters were just like,
oh my God, just like that.
Oh, fat ass, come over here.
Please.
Come here, Chunky. Let's talk about your gluteals.
Fat.
The apple fritter wanted that ass. It did. Okay, let's see. Tanner says, wait, what? Okay, what did I do now, Montes? Nobody said you did anything.
Yeah, what are you talking about, dude?
I don't know what you mean.
I don't know. What are you talking about?
It's fine. Let's see. It would seem, Skeet says, it would seem the reason why Monty thinks the Big 12 is better a conference is because the college football playoff puts inferior teams into the college football playoff.
I don't know where you got that from.
What show are you listening to?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Jizzy says Monty should coach at BYU. I should. They should hire me.
I mean, obviously.
They should hire me. I'm a man. Let's see. Jono Suave says, if they could swing getting Nua and Hill somehow, I like getting as much talent as possible. It will be smooth transition. Should Hill be there for only 2 years? Well,
I still don't think it's worth your time, though. You
but would Jay Hill be the coach in waiting?
I don't think Kalani would do that, but I mean, maybe. I don't know. That doesn't.
But would it
doesn't
surprise
make
you?
A lot of sense.
Would it surprise you?
No, I guess not. But again, why would Kalani hire someone who he knows is there to take his job?
Little Jizzy says, imagine Monty recruiting. His Yelp selling skills would come in clutch.
Well,
hey man, you want to learn how to sell? Go work at Yelp.
What's up, motherfuckers?
Chris P says, at least Bronco had awesome special teams. Correct.
yes.
Dale Donut says, Kalani listening to the show now and taking notes. I hope so. I actually hope not. Jono says BYU was dynamite with Oldroyd and the punter in 20 and 21. But the issue is all 3 phases together. How long has the defense been an issue? How long was like you've never been able to put it together cohesively? Listen, Jake the Make has got to make his return. Like you cannot. I mean, the kid is so talented. You can't tell me that all of this is on him. That he's just missing kicks. And I know you disagree with me on this, but coaching and having your kicking coaching, and you have to have that.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't know that I can ever say that a Kalani special teams has been awesome at covering kicks.
Yeah, dude. I
don't know that I could be wrong about that.
I would also say, and again, with all due respect, not hating on you as a listener or this comment, but I think I see this a lot in the BYU world specifically. Well, we were really good in 2021, right? We were really good at this at that time. You know, hey, in the Bronco days, we were really good at this. Okay, but what does that matter now? What does that matter headed into the Big 12? Like, Baylor is not going to have issues in all three phases, right? TCU is coming for your ass, right? They are going to come and road grade you. And then when they're done road grading you, they're going to run play action on your ass, and you're going to look stupid because your defense isn't ready for that. Ooh. That's what you need.
By the way, Pete Thamel at ESPN dropping a bomb. Arizona State's hiring Rashad Samples from the LA Rams. It's not from the LA Rams. It's from the Texas Longhorns. Mm-hmm. He's a stud. Mm-hmm. He is apparently going to coach wide receivers and have a significant role in the offense.
Arizona State is smart for this.
This is not a good hire. This is a great hire.
Yeah.
Samples was the assistant head coach, running back coach at SMU, and worked in various roles at Texas and Houston. He is a really good hire. A really, really good hire. Wow. I am a hundo P on board with that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the arms race in college football makes it so it doesn't take long to turn stuff around. And whether it's Deion at Colorado, whether it's Dillingham at Arizona State, Rule at Nebraska, I mean.
Dilly.
These conferences are not just going to sit by and be mediocre. I mean,
no.
There is a lot of pressure on the Big Ten to win big. Like the Big Ten needs a national championship to justify that TV contract, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like you need games of consequence on Saturday nights on NBC. Like you've got to have that. And I think Fickle and Rule make that possible. But look at the Pac-12. I mean, maybe I'm just missing something. But I'm shocked that Arizona State is able to put this caliber of staff together. Good Lord. All right, good Lord. Jizzy says Monty's the type of guy to talk Kalani out of his own job. But I think you're only half joking. I think that I look at Kalani Sitake, and you don't have to listen to this show for long to understand that I'm a big Kalani guy. I am a big believer in Kalani. But he's not done. Has he done a good job at BYU? He has. Yes, he has. But he hasn't done a good enough job at BYU. Mm-hmm. That's the issue. If we're being really honest, I think Kalani's done a good job. Putting guys in the NFL, recruiting at a really high level, winning games, being a really good independent football team, running the Pac-12, like he's doing a good job. But you can't lose to Liberty and Notre Dame and Arkansas
and East Carolina.
And East Carolina, like you can't lose to Utah every single year, right? You can't have your special teams falling apart. You can't have the perception that your friend is a defensive coordinator because he's your friend. You can't have zero pass rush. Kalani Sitake is a defensive genius, in my opinion. The guy is a really good defensive mind whose defenses over the last 3 years have been not very good.
Yeah.
Not very good at all.
That's right, T.
So he's done a good job. But I'm telling you right now, good is absolutely the enemy of great. And they have been good. They have not been great. And it's the little things that they've done. I don't know, man. I don't know. And, Tanner, I have no idea. Can Kalani take the next step? That's the question. I don't know. We're going to find out right now.
Well, that's what sport's about, isn't it?
We're going to find out right now. Can Kalani Sitake, and if you want to get real about it, can Kalani Sitake do what Kyle Whittingham has done at Utah? I don't want to hear about the honor code. I don't want to hear about the church. I don't want to hear about missions.
What you signed up for.
You took the job. You knew what it was.
Yeah.
You played there. You're an alumni. Can Kalani Sitake at BYU do what Kyle Whittingham's done at Utah? Because if not, then
But what does that look like? So does that look like Big 12 championships? Is that what
you
that
have
looks
to
like?
compete for a Big 12 championship year in and year out. I mean, let's go back to 2013, 14, 15. How many times were people talking about, me included, firing Kyle Whittingham?
Yeah.
Absolutely the wrong decision to make. But Kyle Whittingham never consistently struggled in 2 of 3 phases like BYU has over the last 2 years.
Yeah. That's true. That's just true.
It's shocking to me that at times you have not had, like, look at Jacob Conover. What is he just the most overhyped quarterback ever? Because you just won't let him throw when he gets in a game.
Remember where he came from.
You just won't let him throw. So is Conover the problem or are you the problem? Right? Because, again, Jaron goes down, Baylor goes down, nobody throws a football at Utah State last year. Now, Jaron goes down again, you bring Jake into the game, and I think he threw 1 pass? Are we not developing talent? Are we, like, what are you going to do at quarterback now? Is Jaron coming back? I don't know. He's banged up. What has he got, an ankle now, I guess? Who's your backup quarterback right now? Because it ain't Jacob Conover.
I know who it is at Utah.
I don't understand. Well, but that's, again, and I despise playing Utah and BYU off each other.
Well.
But Bryson Barnes came in and beat Washington State at Washington State.
But here's the deal. It's the reality of the situation. Kalani and Witt are tied together forever because of their history. So yeah, while the circumstances are different, now they're not so different, right? You're both in a P5. You both have really high aspirations. Now, Whittingham is 15 years in front of Kalani, right? That needs to be said. Needs to be said that he has 15, 20 more years of experience, right? And that allows him to probably make some decisions better than Kalani.
Yeah, but where did Kalani come from?
Yeah,
he came from Kyle Whittingham.
But that doesn't replace, making certain decisions. I think experience is undefeated.
But what I think the problem is that he's got experience now. He's got experience now. If Kalani Sitake isn't the coach at BYU today, he's probably the coach at Washington. Is he a better coach at Washington than he is at BYU? I don't know, maybe. But again, he says this is his dream job. Now, I'm a believer. I believe in Kalani. I don't
disbelieve, but it's hard. So I do believe we should play Utah and BYU off each other, but I also think it needs to be said that
you do or you do not.
I do. I think that
you think you should compare them.
Yes, I do because I think you're in the same state. I think now you're both in a P5. As you just said, Kalani came from Witt's coaching tree. Like there is a lot of comparables there. Now, the difference is, not excuses, just differences. Again, we're playing in reality. Kalani, is at a religious university. Like, that's part of what goes into recruiting. Now, BYU is going to tell you we use the honor code as a tool, not a hindrance, right? We use the religious part of the opportunity as a tool, not a hindrance. But when you bring up Washington, I feel obligated to say, hey, at Washington, none of this stuff matters. Come to Washington. Let's try to win the Pac-12. It's that simple. And it comes down to who you are as a coach.
The problem with that is he told Washington that he wanted to stay at BYU.
Yeah, and that's his decision. That 100%. That's his decision. But again, but that's what I'm saying. Like, when we're talking about has he done a good enough job, or like where are we at on Kalani? Like, yeah, you did decide you wanted to recruit with the things you have to work with at BYU, and that's fine. But when we ask the question, would he be a better head coach at Washington? Yeah, I think there's some credence to, yeah, maybe he would be. But my point is, we do have to compare these two. There's too many similars not to compare them. Well,
and you have to compare working for yourself and working for the man every day, and that's why you should go to trydaytrading.com/Monty. Because, I tell you every single day, Your paycheck is the drug they give you to make you forget your dreams. Get to trydaytrading.com/Monty right now and watch the free webinar. That's all we're asking you to do. It's free. It costs you no money. And then make a decision, because if you are a guy right now that is dreading your drive to work today, it is a chilly, foggy, crazy foggy morning here in Utah. And anywhere you're listening to the show, you can take part. Tri-Day Trading is an international company, man. And I'm telling you, if you hate your job, if you are frustrated that you are not making the money you want to be making or believe you deserve, you should be working for yourself, right? You know the tax code was set up for you to be an entrepreneur. It was not set up for you to get a paycheck every day. Take the leap. Do it now. Don't promise yourself you're going to have a great 2023 and then be disappointed again a year from now. Make the leap. Take the jump. Go to trydaytrading.com/Monty. Day trading is absolutely a scalable, lucrative career that you can do as a side hustle. It can be your full-time job. You can absolutely make the money any way you want to. Have you always wanted to work for yourself? Would it be nice to get up when you want to get up, go to bed when you want to go to bed, make decisions based on what you know you need to do instead of what somebody else is telling you to do, right? You don't need to fill out those reports every day. You don't need to make sure you're at work at 7:45 and, hey, I can't leave at 5 because I've got extra work to do today.
And if I don't do that work, my boss is going to ride me about it.
Am I going to lose my health insurance? Am I going to... All of that stuff evaporates when you're making the money that you want to be making. If you want to talk about money, let's do that. There are people today who have gone through the Tri-Day Trading program that are making $1,000 today. They will make $1,000. $1,000. Woke up this morning, had a dividend in my stock account. Did you get a dividend payment today? Why are you not making $1,000 today? Why do you hate your boss? Why are you allowing yourself to be anything less than freaking unbelievably happy? Because you haven't gone to trydaytrading.com/Monty. Take my word for it. Go there. It is going to change your life. I'm just telling you now. If you don't want to take my word, what about Alum Harrington?
Alum Harrington here. I've been in the broadcast business going on 30 years now. And after that amount of time, you start to be able to pick some winners. I want to share a winner that I'm aware of with you, and that is my guys at Tri-Day Trading. They're going to teach you how to trade, and then they're going to let you trade using their money and then split the profits with you. That's a pretty winning deal. If you want to register for a free webinar, all you have to do is go to trydaytrading.com/Monty. So for more information, it's trydaytrading.com/Monty. We'll see you there.
That's my guy, Alema Harrington. Don't take my word, take his word. Go to trydaytrading.com/Monty. Talking BYU football right now on the show and wondering what BYU is doing with their coaching situation. Greg Hale says BYU's goal is to make up for the last decade against Utah. That's why you compare them. Maybe. Jono says, I think Kalani is doing a good job helping facilities, less red tape internally. Still got big inroads to make. I think the issue at BYU, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, but there is no synergy between the money-making machine and the athletic machine.
Facts.
Between the people who win games and the people who make money off of the people winning games.
That's crucial.
So that's it. That's absolutely a real problem. Absolutely a real problem. Nicholas says, real simple. Utah take Penn State out. Big Penn State overrated. Prove it. Utah will get respect. I mean, not giving up 600 yards like last year. That would be nice. That would be nice. That would absolutely be nice. Provo Cougar fan says next year it may be his nightmare job.
Well, I think
there's a big hill to climb.
Dude, listen, I mean, the first year in the Big 12 is going to be an ass kicking. You need to understand that. And I think, as far as the program and Tom Homo and, from the top down, I think everyone knows that. But the question is going to be, how long does it take you to start winning?
Yeah. How long until you can...
In these hires, the Shaun Nua situation, or any of these other names that we've talked about all week and last week, like these hires are going to decide just how long that curve is going to be. And that's why this is such an important time.
Yep. Jono says, I don't think A-Rod is the problem. Zach Baylor and Hall have been spoiling us. I'm curious, though, what's next at quarterback? Because at some point, Zach Wilson and Jaron Hall come to an end. And then what? Because you haven't I'm not going to say you haven't. The Conover thing is really troubling to me because that kid is really talented. I don't think anybody doubts Jacob Conover's ability. Why did he not develop here? Why is he not the quarterback in waiting? What happened? And I've actually reached out to him and asked him to come on the show, and he has not gotten back to me.
Mm-hmm.
What happened at BYU that Dallin Holker and Jacob Conover left? What happened? There is something missing in the development piece at BYU. And it's really concerning. And I'll also say, what's that? Go ahead.
All I was going to say is I think, that's where the A-Rod conversation comes in, though, I think, because this is kind of where I feel like, hey, you've got offensive talent leaving. And if you even just understand the basics, the fundamentals of how, like, week to week goes in a football program, whether that's NFL, college, whatever, it doesn't really matter the level. You begin to understand that Kalani Sitake's not in the quarterback room every week. I mean, he may step in once in a while, but it's not like he's having those meetings every single week, right? He has meetings with his coaching staff. They agree on strategies, and the coaching staff goes out and does its thing. And then Kalani gets to deal with Jake the Make not making anything, or Jaron getting hurt, or whatever the game presents. And so my point is, when you look at Conover, you look at Holker, you look at some of these guys just stepping away and going to the portal and going to Utah or going to wherever Conover's going to go. It makes you wonder, hey, is there a philosophical issue with A-Rod maybe? Because like Holker to me is a big question mark because he was getting receptions. He was getting reps. He was getting time. He wasn't getting the lion's share, but he was getting plenty. When you're getting 5 to 7 catches a game as a second guy, that's pretty good. Conover, on the other hand, is different. Conover just didn't get a sniff. Conover, as you said, they won't even allow him to throw the football. So that to me is like just he either took that as disrespect or there's a philosophical thing or whatever. I don't know.
But again, this is what we talked about the other day. Is it A-Rod or is it John Beck and Tom House? Because I think when you look at both Zach and Jaron both went to John Beck and Tom House.
Yeah.
And I mean, those guys are gurus. Those are the throwing gurus. And I think Jaron had a really good year this year. I mean, the injuries continue to haunt him.
Right.
But he had a really good year this year. But again, last year was Baylor Romney. This year it's Jacob Conover, really nobody behind them.
Well, and the strength and conditioning thing is another great point.
I mean, we haven't even gotten into that, but I look at Jaquindon Jackson at Utah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a quarterback who, damn, dude's a really good running back, right? I just want to see depth and development. The Campbell Barrington thing is really concerning for me because he should have been your starting right tackle. That's the kid that should be your starting right tackle next year, and he's not going to be. And he's in the portal. And I wonder, there is some uncomfortableness. There is some awkward. It's not that BYU had an exodus through the portal because they did not. But Barrington's a big loss. I mean,
maybe not so much numbers, but names. Right?
Dallin Holker can go do what you want to do. Like, that to me is not a loss. Jacob Conover and Campbell Barrington are losses at BYU. There's no other way around it. They're losses at BYU.
Yeah.
They are. There's just no way around it. Good morning, Jeremy Bolton. Lopes fan Gabe says, hit the like button, you casuals. Yeah, hit the like button, you casuals. Let's go. Had a lot of people watch a show. We only have 41 likes. Come on now.
Yeah, set a new record today, man. I think the record's like 110. Can we get to 120 today?
Can we get to 200 likes today? Let's get crazy, man.
Yeah,
If 105 people watching the show get in and click like, that would be amazing. So good morning. Provo Cougar fan says, did you see Conover's 7-yard toss at Stanford into the dirt? Was it on purpose? So many people have brought that up. Jacob Conover's not throwing a pass intentionally poorly. The one pass attempt he gets. I don't think he's doing that. Mike Maple said A-Rod wasn't developing them. John Beck was. That's a fair point, Maples.
Oh, and I think the other thing that goes through my head, and I'm not saying this is fact, but certainly like when you go to a trainer, like John Beck. You think in the NBA like Chris Brickley. Like, you think those guys and their trainer aren't having conversations about the path to the NFL and how their current program is either helping or hurting them? You think those conversations don't happen? They happen.
Oh, no doubt.
You know what I mean? So, like, I also think that's a factor. And I think when you're working with someone like John Beck, who's proven, like, it's not in question that John Beck is helping quarterbacks get to the NFL, by developing them. It's not in question. Like, those conversations are going to happen. And I'm not saying that's the primary reason that dudes like Conover leave, but I am here to say that if I was Jacob Conover, I probably would have left before this season. I mean, it's very clear what was going to happen.
I mean, it goes back to the Connor Mannings at Utah versus the Jacob Conovers at BYU. I mean, they're going to leave if they don't feel like they're getting their shot.
Yeah.
And now it's so easy to leave. DF Ost says, I wonder if BYU would consider using Barry Sanders, Deion Sanders' strategy at Colorado and sending all of the players to the portal. It makes an athlete think. It does. I don't think BYU has that luxury because Deion Sanders is gravitational.
You said Barry Sanders, bro.
Oh, and he did correct himself. He did, and Jeremy Bolton pointed that out. Good job, Jeremy. Tom says BYU and USC have a similar football philosophy: QBs and no D. And isn't it shocking that Kalani's teams struggle defensively?
Yeah.
It's shocking. It is shocking. Nicholas says TCU next year will be Baylor this year. Well, Baylor did not have a great year.
But again, I think that's a fascinating thing about the Big 12 if you're BYU. Who's going to be the big boy in the Big 12 next year?
But isn't that if you're Dave Aranda or, like all these guys that have these one massive seasons,
Yeah.
That's why you have to look at jobs. That's why Deion Sanders, is a national champion. Got to look at a job. Absolutely. Travis Berg, good morning to you, Big Daddy Magic. The BYU quarterback is going to Utah, and transfer portal, I'm going to see it personally. Okay. The transfer portal's on the internet. You can look. Austin Napierski, what's up, my guy? Good to see you. He says, I don't think Kalani has recruited at a high level. I would agree with that. I have asked friends I have on the team about recruiting, and they said it's not good. Bad facilities, honor code, only RMs. He needs to be better. I don't think the facilities, this is a conversation I've had 100 times in the last year, it seems like. Are the facilities at BYU bad? I don't believe they are. I mean, the indoor practice facility is ridiculous, right? The football, the athletic center at BYU is beautiful. I mean, I don't know. That's interesting. I don't think the facilities, are they world-class? No. Are they Utah? No. But can BYU leverage the transfer portal?
Well, I think BYU as a program can leverage the transfer portal, but again, I think it's a mentality thing. Much like anything else in sports, it is a mentality thing. Like you have to say, okay, we're going in the Big 12. We know that we weren't good in two phases, and we were, in my opinion, just okay on offense. Like
I would agree.
You had some good games on offense, but you were just okay. So we have a lot of progress to make, and I know that Jaron's going to make his decision. According to Kalani, Jaron's decision's coming shortly. So one way or the other, this is going to be Jaron's last year if he decides to come back.
And should not be. He should not come back.
He should go to the league. I agree with that. But let's say he came back. All right, we get one more year with Jaron. Okay, what are we doing at running back? Because running back was a massive question. What are we doing at tight end? What are we doing on the offensive line? Like, again, this is what I mean. Neat. You had an okay season on offense, but it's not looking good for this coming year.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And Austin makes a really good point. Look at Utah's facilities and look at BYU's. It's not that they're bad, but relatively speaking, why in the world would they choose BYU? They wouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, the facilities at Utah are
world class.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
The weight room alone at Utah is
And that's what I
ridiculous.
mean. That's why I think the level, and again, the conversation isn't, hey, everything sucks at BYU. That's not the conversation. But the conversation definitely is, hey, we got to raise the bar. Like, we're here, but we got to get up here. Because if we can get up here, the transfer portal and NIL deals and all that, cohesiveness starts to work together better. And we can, fast track ourselves through the Big 12. But that's where, as you always say, the money-making machine at BYU and the footballing machine have to come together, right? 2 weeks ago, he told a story as an example about the widget maker sponsor, right? who it had an exclusive. He was the official widget maker of BYU football, right? And then all of a sudden, some new blood comes into the sales department at BYU, and they bring in their widget maker. And now the guy who was the exclusive widget maker no longer is part of the program. That's an issue. That affects recruiting.
Absolutely.
Now you're not getting facilities. You're not getting sponsorships. You're not like it
But
all
look at a
works
kid
together.
like Spencer Sanders, the starting quarterback at Oklahoma State, transfer portal.
Yeah.
BYU and Utah are both recruiting him. He's going to take Utah. He's going to take Utah. And I think the other thing that you got to be honest about is I think BYU needs to be bowl eligible next year, and that would be a massive win.
You have to.
I mean, you're going into the Big 12. That is, I'm telling you, the climb.
People underestimate it,
Man,
dude. They
it's really hard to do,
bro.
DF Voss says Kalani has spoken out about athletes who fit the culture. I'm not sure his idea has been defined. That could be. That could be. Yeah. I think he knows exactly who that person is. Giggity has a good question, Jake. Does Jake know who Barry Sanders is?
Why are you being disrespectful, Giggity? Detroit Lions, great running back. Get the hell out of my chat.
Josh Lovern says, did I miss the New Mexico State hoops story talk? No, did you guys hear that story? New Mexico State's basketball coach held a gun. And I appreciate Josh Lovern was the first one to send it to me, but 3-4 other people sent me this story yesterday. The head basketball coach at New Mexico State essentially hid a gun for a player who was involved in a shooting. Self-defense, whatever, I don't care how you want to spin it. It was a shooting. To the point where they pulled over the team bus and an assistant coach was later found to have possession of that weapon. Oof. I mean, there's loyalty and then there's stupidity.
When in New Mexico.
Do as the Lobos do. Is the transfer portal public view? Can anyone see who's in there? Yes, 247 has, I think, probably the best version of it. Just search college football transfer portal. Like 8,000 of them pop up. Bob, good morning. Head-to-head, Pac minus USC, UCLA. We're 0-2 against the Big 12. If you include BYU, the head-to-head is 1-3.
Yeah, I mean, you can do the head-to-head. I think that conversation is bigger than just the head-to-head.
Yeah. Jeff Johnson says, man, I've worked at the facilities here at BYU. They are not shabby by any stretch of the imagination. But I also think, yeah, the facility, if you're losing recruits to facilities, there's something wrong because you're not going to lose recruits to the facilities at BYU. Now, if they go to Utah and then drive down the freeway to Provo, yeah, you're probably not going to win there. Salty Drunk says, oh, my bad, I must have nodded off, LOL.
Yeah, well.
Okay. Appreciate you. Coming up in about 10 minutes, we're going to talk basketball, so you can do what you want to do. Josh Levert says, BYU just needs to equal Oklahoma State, TCU, and Texas Tech. Oklahoma State needs to be better. They're a really important player in the Big 12. They certainly are. Let's see. Raptor 88 says, have a good rest of the show going into work. Raptor, appreciate you, my guy. You. Joseph Farnsworth says, I want to know more about this widget making company and what happened. Well, I mean, I can tell you in short that, and I'm not going to name people by names, but there was a major longtime sponsor who provided a certain category to BYU and paid a pretty penny to provide that category. And it's a normal industry standard. Hey, you want to be our oil change, our exclusive oil change, place? Okay, great. Pay us this amount of money. We'll have nobody else, right?
Yeah.
And so this particular business owner has supported BYU football and athletics for a long time, decades.
Yeah.
Over a decade. And had paid to be the exclusive in this category. And so one day, that person showed up who was paying to be exclusive in a category, and their main competitor was in the BYU facility doing the job in the BYU facility. No warning, nobody told anybody, and this person was still paying for this category.
That's an issue.
A lot of money. And you just don't operate like that. And it's because, as we later found out, somebody in the business operations is very, very close friends with that other non-exclusive person.
Yeah.
So they brought in their friend to give their business an opportunity to get in with BYU.
It's really despicable.
So now what has that done? It's eroded the relationship with the longtime sponsor who had taken really good care of and spent lots of money on BYU football and basketball talent. I mean, and if the name I think would shock you. You'd be like, wow, they did that to that company? They did that to that company. And that story's been repeated 3-4 times where these business people don't care about relationships that are not their own.
That's an issue.
So these long-time relationships that have been in place, those don't matter. I have my own.
And when you do that, you burn bridges.
Yeah, so let me bring in my favorite widget maker.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put him in front of all of the BYU athletes. And we're going to use him, even though he's not paying to be exclusive, and even though he's really not paying very much at all, because as it later came out as well, the new widget maker got a massive discount and got more exposure than the person who had been supporting the program for a decade and was paying a huge amount of money. Just cast that person aside because we want this one in because it's my relationship. Like that's what's really sad about what's going on.
Yeah.
They let you down.
You can't do that. You just can't do that. You just can't do it. Let's see. New Mexico Lobos, New Mexico State Aggies. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to be. I was trying to be kind.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to be kind. Jeremy Bolton wants to know if Jake knows who Deion Sanders is.
Yes.
No, you did not.
Yes, I did.
You knew who Coach Prime was.
I just said who Barry Sanders was.
We're brawl breaking.
Yeah, I know. Like,
relax. Jake knows who Barry and Deion Sanders are. I think.